Welcome to the morning news here on TV3 with me, Godwin Asidiba, coming up in the headlines. And coming up this morning, government to scale up its communication by ensuring success and challenges are properly communicated as pressure mounts on the Kufuor administration. Also coming up, the majority in Parliament has agreed to President Kufuor's decision to allow Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta finish the 2023 budget and IMF negotiations. Also ahead, a governance expert has questioned the ruling of the Speaker of Parliament to send the decision on the Dom Kwabenya MP to the plenary of the House. Government will soon introduce price control mechanism to deal with the abnormal increment in prices of general goods. And also on the international front, 5 confirmed Ebola cases in Uganda has risen to 109, claiming 30 lives, according to a health minister, Jane Ruth Atsing. These and some other stories coming your way. Do stay with us. The details now. Majority caucus in Parliament has agreed to President Kufuor's decision to allow Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta finish negotiations with the IMF and the 2023 budget. In a statement signed by the Majority Leader Osei Bonsu, a decision to sack the minister will be taken after the budget approval. The statement goes further to read that following a press conference held on Tuesday, October 25, 2022, by some members of the Majority caucus in Parliament demanding the removal of the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, and the Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Charles Edubuahen, from office, the President engaged members of the caucus and requested that the issue be stood down until the conclusion of the round of negotiations with the International Monetary Fund, which is the IMF, and the presentation of the budget statement and economic policy in November 2022, and the subsequent passage of the appropriation bill, after which time will demand for it to be acted upon. After deliberations among the Majority caucus on Wednesday, October 26, 2022, it was agreed to accede to the President's approval, and this was signed by Honorable Osei Bonsu, MP and Majority Leader and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. Majority Leader Osei Bonsu has revealed that almost every majority member in Parliament wants Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta sacked. He, however, says that attempts by leadership of the majority to convince the agitated MPs to keep the issue out of the public have proved futile, adding that the agitations has been going on for 3 months now.
It was an appeal from the President, just like I've told you, that I've already engaged that group and spoken to them passionately about this. Well, they didn't agree with me. Together with the broader caucus, we went to see the President, and it was just a similar appeal that the President made. And we have decided to recline, to think through, and get back to the President. The minority has a right to express themselves, and they are saying that they want a motion of censure on the Minister for Finance. We represent constituents. Constituents are expressing their own views about the current situation in the country. I will not pretend to say, to state that my constituents are happy with what is happening in the country. I mean, there's general angst in the system. What it is that must be done to lift us up is a matter of general concern.
Minority members in Parliament have rejected appeal by President Kufuor to the agitated NPP MPs to allow embattled Finance Minister Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta finish negotiations with the IMF before a decision is made on their demands. The minority believes the appeal by the President is just to buy him time to push through his 2023 budget.
My worry is also in the same direction, being that the person that they are trying to get him out of his post or his office, how do you allow such a person also to go and negotiate? And what is going to be his take to favor the country or the interests of the nation? If the person is not in good standing, that means you have to be aside. Then the president can look who will now represent him to continue the work that he's been doing with IMF. You cannot say because of that they should allow him to finish the negotiation with the IMF. He is not the only one person among the economic team.
It's an aberration that this finance minister is still in office. In any civilized jurisdiction, this finance minister should have been ousted. He should have resigned or be sacked long ago. It's a misnomer that in today's distance, with all the increasing levels of hardship and suffering Ghanaians are still going through, with the economy on a tailspin, in fact, the economy is virtually on the threshold of collapse. There's nothing working. If you take all the macroeconomic indicators and everything, inflation, cost of living, foreign exchange rate, revenue, spending, everything is in disarray. So this finance minister should have been long gone.
That you cannot be removing tongues when you are in the middle of tongues. You are in the middle of tongues pricking you. And then one has pricked you and you are in the middle, a swamp, if you like, of tongues. And then you remove it. By the time you take another step, you'll be affected by another one. It simply doesn't make sense. The IMF do not, in fact, the IMF and the World Bank and those Bretton Woods institutions, they don't deal with individuals.
Respected economist Kwame Nkrumah has joined calls for the finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta to resign or be sacked. Kwame Nkrumah, in an exclusive interview with Parko Siasari, noted that Ken Ofori-Atta has lost credibility and is incapable of negotiating a successful program with the IMF.
We don't have the foreign exchange reserves to support it. The IMF negotiation is not going well.
You know this for a fact?
I know this for a fact. It's not going. What the IMF is waiting for is a bold, credible pronouncement from the president, as he did over the COVID. The president said, I take full responsibility, I'm in charge, and I'm going to make sure that Ghanaians are protected from the COVID. We need a president to own the crisis, to come out and say, there is nothing that I will not do to stabilize the economy of Ghana, to stop this pressure, the economic crisis that is looming, and that there are no sacred cows. All the flagship programs will be looked at and reviewed for efficiency. School, the free school one, the feeding, we are going to look at all that. And I myself, I'm going to set the example. It's expenditures that need to be cut. No spooking traders by planting GRA officers in their shops.
Back to Parliament, the Speaker, Alban Babin, has ruled that the plenary must debate and decide on the report by the Privileges Committee on the 3 absentee members of Parliament. In his Wednesday ruling, the Speaker noted that the House must debate whether the Dom Kwabenya MP Sarah Adwoa-Safo's seat should be declared vacant.
If the event that birthed the 8th Parliament in the wee hours of January 7, 2021 were signs of things to come, then they are living to expectation. The first session was filled with drama and the unexpected, and that's what the 8th Parliament keeps delivering. On the first day the House reconvened for its 3rd meeting of the 2nd session, majority MPs asked for the head of the Finance Minister and the Minister of State for Finance, and not even a meeting with the President in the evening could change their mind. Barely 24 hours later, the majority side would go ahead to add to the twist of events the 8th Parliament is becoming noted for. On the much-anticipated ruling on the fate of the truant Dom Kwabenya MP, Sarah Adwoa-Safo, the majority was hoping the Speaker would make a definite statement on her. But the Speaker didn't do what they expected.
It goes without saying that the preliminary objection of the majority leader to the admissibility of the motion for consideration of the report of the committee is hereby dismissed in limine.
A governance expert research fellow at the Center for Democratic Development, Dr. John Osei Kwapong, said the decision by the Speaker to deter her to vacate the Dom Kwabenya seat has been strange, and he believes that the law is clear on what is to be done to any member of Parliament who was absent from Parliament beyond 15 consecutive times. He joins us via Zoom for more details. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Now, the majority in Parliament has agreed to allow the Finance Minister finish their IMF negotiations. What do you make of this?
Well, from what I understand, there was a when they put out the statement saying that they were demanding his resignation. It came as a surprise to, at least to me, because normally you don't see that public division from a ruling party's MPs with their president and the executive. So probably they've been assured that a certain course of action will be taken, and so I'm guessing that it's something acceptable to them that they would let the finance minister finish the negotiation, and then whatever action the president has assured them that he will take, he will. So we'll wait and see how it all unfolds, giving everything that they are demanding.
Also in Parliament, Adwoa Safo continues to absent herself from the House, but the Speaker has ruled that the decision to vacate the seat has been a bit dicey. What do you make about this particular matter? Do you think Adwoa Safo already has a decision?
I thought that the law was very clear in terms of what happens to the seat of an absentee member of Parliament. So unless there's permission in writing from the Speaker, to the Speaker that requested that permission to be absent, and then a response in writing from the Speaker that said, yes, you can be absent, or that the Member of Parliament, and in this case, the Honorable Adwoa Safo, was able to offer a reasonable explanation to the Committee on Privileges as to why she has missed 15 sittings, then I thought it was just very clear that absent of all of that, then the Committee on Privileges just, there's the evidence that absence is there, and therefore the Committee of Privileges declares the seat vacant. And then if you look at Article 1125, the administrative procedure then is that the clerk, the clerk of Parliament, within 7 days of becoming aware, has to now then inform the EC. So I'm not sure I agree with the Speaker's interpretation, because again, my reading of it was that once the Committee on Privileges had made all attempts to reach the Honorable Adwoa Safo to see if they could get that quote-unquote reasonable explanation. Having failed all of that, I was thinking that then the process now becomes the findings of the Committee on Privileges, notification to the clerk of Parliament, notification to the EC. So I'm not sure why the Speaker, I did listen to the Speaker who also believes that report has to be debated by the full House for a decision to be made as to whether the seat be declared vacant or not.
All right, thank you very much for speaking to us. We spoke to a fellow from the CDD, Dr. John Osei Kwapong, as a research fellow, and he has been giving us updates on what he thinks about Adwoa Safo's seat. Should it be declared vacant or not? As Parliament proceeds, we'll definitely get answers. all government appointees are with immediate effect expected to create social media accounts and avail themselves for interviews on radio and television programs to speak on government activities.
In the last few weeks, government has taken quite a bashing in the media and on social media for various reasons, and as part of measures to address it, a set of instructions have been issued to all government appointees, ministers and chief executive officers. The instructions were agreed upon at a last cabinet meeting on October 6, 2022, and it is part of a strategic plan to address what government describes as distorted issues or misinformation in the public. All appointees are to provide a comprehensive response to allegations made in the public domain within 12 hours and work with the Ministry of Information to disseminate the response. The Information Minister and Communication and Digitalization Minister will come up with a list and programs to be shared within the appointees who are expected to patronize all government media assets across the country. The appointees should make themselves available for deployment on radio and TV stations or shows to speak about government activities and particularly their ministries and institutions. They are all also expected to have active social media presence, and those who do not have accounts should contact the Information Minister to assist in setting up social media accounts for them, which they must use to promote government activities and to timeously respond to issues. It looks as though government is feeling the pinch of public discourse and wants to control or be part of the narrative, at least to tell their side of the story and activities they are undertaking to deal with the current economic issues and many other issues. Martin Esiedudate, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's turn our attention to business. Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Michael Ochibefi, has hinted on government's preparedness to control price of goods in the market. He says a legislation to cap prices to deal with abnormal increases of goods is imminent.
It's a serious issue. I mean, we cannot stay in a country that people show, traces of indiscipline like that. Completely, it doesn't add up. How can we sit in a country and because prices are not regulated, you can just decide to increase your prices at will? That's not the best. We live in a very civilized country made up of people who do business, sweat and get money. So those people should not be put in that difficult and tight corner. I don't think that's the way to go. Albeit there's a lot of problems. Government is doing everything possible to reverse the situation. And so when we are done with the meetings, we'll come out with a blueprint to do that. If there's a need for us to come out with a legislation or do something that can cause us to regulate prices or somehow speak to people to be able to reduce prices, to make the system well again.
The number of confirmed Ebola cases in Uganda has risen to 109 and the outbreak has claimed 30 lives, Health Minister Jane Ruth Alseng said on Wednesday, adding that the government was setting up an additional treatment center. 15 of the confirmed cases were among health workers, of whom 6 had died, she told the news conference. And Seng said 5 treatment centers were operational and a 6th was being set up. The virus circulating in Uganda as the Sudan strain of Ebola, for which there is no proven vaccine, unlike more common Zaire strain seen during recent outbreaks in neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. And that's how we end the news this morning. My name is Godwin Asidiba.